Hi everyone, I'll be installing GhostBSD, which is Gnome Hosted Freebsd in a dual boot setup with Windows. I'll be installing it on the same hard disk and using a separate EFI partition to avoid Microsoft from overwriting the GhostBSD boot information. A minimum 4GB USB drive is needed to put the GhostBSD ISO on, and I'll be using a 32GB USB drive. So I'm going to ghostbsd.org and then download, and then direct download, and then select your mirror. And also, as well as, I'm going to be downloading Rufus at rufus.ie and downloading the portable version. Going to my downloads folder, opening up Rufus, yes, and select your USB drive. In my case, it's already selected, and I'll select the ISO, GhostBSD, okay, and GPD, UEFI, keep it as the default, and hit start, okay. All right, it's completed. I'm going to go disk management, and here's my USB drive. It has GhostBSD on it, and here's my C drive. I'm going to shrink it to make some space for GhostBSD. So I'm going to leave 40 gigabytes for it. Shrink. All right, it's completed, and now I'm going to reboot into my USB drive. All right, it's booted into the USB drive, and it's going to auto boot into GhostBSD. All right, it failed to auto start X, which is the GUI, and it's asking you to select one of the options. So Intel for Intel drivers, AMD for AMD GPU drivers, Radeon KMS drivers, VESA drivers, SCFB driver. So in my case, I have an AMD, so I'm going to be picking AMD. All right, it's booted into the live installer here. And first I'm going to open up terminal. SU in and type in gpart show, which would show the partition structure for the disks. And so DA0 is my hard disk here, and DA1 is my USB drive. So DA0, this would be my C drive here, and this is the 40 gigabytes of free space that was made. And so I'm going to be changing this partition here from EFI to something else, and then we'll be changing it back after the install is done. So I'll be changing the partition type to MS Basic Data. And we see here that it has been changed. Just going to minimize, run the installer, select your language, next, keyboard, next, select your time zone, next, and advanced partitioning, next. And we see here DA0, and we have my free space here. So you can go into the free space and you can create the individual partitions, the EFI partition, slash partition, swap, etc. Or you can just select auto, and it's asking you the file system that you want to use. There's ZFS for high performance if you want snapshots and data integrity checks. Great if you're dealing with lots of data. And there's UFS if you have limited resources. And there's UFS plus SUJ, which is soft updates and journaling. Generally, this would be used by most desktop users. But for me, I'm going to be selecting ZFS as I want the advanced features. Hit add. And we see here the partitions have been created. And I'm going to hit next. And then set up Refine Boot Manager. Next. And enter in your user admin information. Install. So this will take a little bit of time, depending on how fast your system is. Installation is complete. You need to restart the computer in order to use the new installation. Not going to restart just yet. Continue. Go back to the terminal. And if we do gpart show, and we can see here the new partitions that have been made for the install. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this back to EFI. Hit the up arrow put it back to EFI, gpart show, and we see it's changed back. So it's been completed, close, and we're going to restart. All right, so it's booted into the Refined Boot Manager. So here we see Windows, and here is the fallback bootloader, and here is it's booting GhostBSD, the EFI, and here it would boot GhostBSD from the 255 megabyte EFI partition. So I can boot GhostBSD from here or from here. And if I want to hide an entry, I could just hit delete. And do I want to hide? Yes. So it just has the three options. And if I want to bring it back, scroll down, go to Manage Hidden Tags menu, and select the tag to restore it, and it'll come back. All right, so I'm going to boot into GhostBSD, and so it's booted up into the GUI, put in my password. All right, so we're in GhostBSD as expected. Now I'm just going to reboot, make sure I can go into Windows. All right, it's booted back into the Refined Boot Manager, and I'm going to boot Windows. All right, so we're at the Windows login screen. So that's it. That's how you can install GhostBSD on the same drive in a dual boot setup with Windows. I hope this video was useful, and I thank you for watching. Bye now.